Hey Pokemon Masters, Berkey here, and welcome to a more personal kind of video. And before I get into this personal kind of video, I have some personal kind of updates. Namely, I just wanted to let you know I have a vlogging channel. I don't talk about it a lot over here because I treat this channel as being more professional and wham and jazz. But yes, I have a vlogging channel where I upload, I try and give advice. If you have any questions for me to tackle on there, I absolutely will. But the link to that is in the top of the description. Please, anyone who wants to find out more about me and what's going on in my personal life and also wants some advice maybe, that is a place for you. In fact, it's not just me that has a vlogging channel, my mum does as well, and I'll leave her link right below it. We would both greatly appreciate your support on that. So with that out of the way, why is this video a more personal video? Well, I've stolen the idea from Mr. M&J TV Pokevids, a good friend of mine, and this idea is just a sort of discussion video that I want to have with you, and I want to know what you think in the comments about what teams we've used historically and if there's any stories that go with them. Now for me, I've played Pokemon a lot of times, a lot. I've played through every generation multiple times using different teams. I've used pretty much all of the starters, I think, at this point. The older the games get, I mean, you look at the Generation 1 games, I've used every starter like a good 5 or 6 times because I've just played those games so much. And in fact, since Generation 3, every time I've had a new team, I've transferred it up to the current generation, and with Pokemon Bank just being made available for Pokemon Sun and Moon, I have all of them on my Pokemon Sun version. All my game teams ever. Apart from my original Yellow and Crystal teams. Rest in peace. So because I've played them so much, I'm going to go through one of each generation of Pokemon. So on Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, so on, one team of each. Just ones I have particular memories of. So I'm going to start straight off with Generation 1 Leaf Green team. This team is from 2 years ago, and I started off, of course, with a Squirtle that would turn into a Blastoise. This choice was made because when I first played Leaf Green 13 years ago, I chose a Squirtle that became a Blastoise. So I'm kind of treating this one as the ancestor to that one, because that one was my first Pokemon on a Generation 3 game to reach level 100. So I knew this one had to be good. I also wanted to put an emphasis on using Pokemon that I hadn't used before, and I had never really used Clefable or Nidoran, which later became Clefable and Nidoking, using both of the Moonstones that you find in Mount Moon. I also realized, because usually I played Pokemon Yellow version in the past, that I had never gone into Viridian Forest and caught a Pikachu and evolved it into a Raichu, so I did that as well. I also found myself catching an Execute for type coverage, and making use of that freebie Hitmonlee. I definitely realized it wasn't a great idea to have 4 of my 6 Pokemon need evolutionary stones to evolve. But I was super happy with this team, and I took it into the Indigo League while I was on a holiday in the Isle of Wight. I had the week off. Was just out there relaxing, should have been sightseeing and investigating really, but I thought no, I'd rather investigate Kanto. I did, and it was great, until I came up against the final battle, my rival, the champion, and he had an Alakazam. And my last Pokemon with no more full restores and no more revives on my first run through was Hitmonlee. And we know how things went down in Saffron City. The dojo is the dojo and not the gym for a reason, because psychic types beat fighting types. But not this time. For whatever messed up Generation 1 algorithm reason it was, Alakazam only used Barrier, or Reflect, or Light Screen, or one of them. So, just hoping it wouldn't use a Psy-Wave or Psychic Attack, I kept on using Brick Break and beat it. And that was the end of that. Next up, Gen 2 and Soul Silver. Ah yes, Pokemon Soul Silver. I believe I did this run through about 4 years ago. Whatever it was when I was back in my Avatar The Last Airbender phase. And my team was a Typhlosion, a Sizzle, a Gengar, a Lapras, a Poliwrath that took forever to find the Water Stone for, and Togepi that I never really used or evolved, but it just became a mascot of the team. Now, why am I just telling you the team up front? It's because the team itself isn't the interesting dynamic. What's cool about it is the names. I don't normally nickname my Pokemon, but these guys are all nicknamed after characters from Avatar The Last Airbender. Zuko the Typhlosion, Azulon the Gengar, Paku the Poliwrath, and Katara the Lapras. Actually, in my haste catching this thing, I actually forgot to nickname it and then traded it on, so technically it's still just called Lapras. It's sort of an unofficial nickname. Toph the Scizor and Aang the Togepi. All of these make some kind of relevant sense, but Toph is my favourite because you might look at it and think, well, why? They don't look anything alike. And here's why. It's because Scizor starts off being green, it's very tough Pokemon, and then a little later on you get the introduction of Metal and it becomes red. Reminding you of anyone? I just always appreciated that and thought that was kind of cool. Next up, Generation 3. And this is one of my Oras teams from just a few years ago. Ah yes, after running through Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby a good 2 or 3 times and having done the Generation 3 games just so many times over in the past, I decided it was time to spritz things up and mess things around, and I had done my first proper shiny hunt for a shiny Mudkip in another version, I think in Alpha Sapphire. And so I decided I'd use Pokemon Bank to start off with the shiny Mudkip. Also, in Oras, you get given a Johto starter, so I decided to send in the Chikorita that I had got in a previous playthrough as well. And in fact, I didn't catch any Pokemon in this playthrough, because partway through, once they had evolved into Swampert and Meganium, there was a shiny Charizard event, and I thought, well, I've already got a Water and Grass starter, why not? That's right, this was the spring 2015 event, so I had a shiny Charizard, shiny Swampert, regular Meganium, then my friend traded me a Donphan so that I could use Strength, and I traded myself over an Omastar. I'm not sure why, but that was it, that was the team. It was only even 5 members. But you know, that's what I love about where we are with Pokemon Bank and Oras and that kind of stuff. You can cater the Pokemon adventures to whatever you want if you've got the Pokemon waiting in the wings. Generation 4! Ah yes, there's only been one Generation 4 so far. I've played it quite a few times and had a lot of fun with it, especially my most recent run through of Platinum, but that's not the interesting one I want to talk about today. Today I want to talk about one of my Diamond teams, because I decided I would start this playthrough, and then when I decided to abandon the playthrough, I wanted to keep the Pokemon and trade them up. I started with a Chimchar, and again, with an emphasis on using Pokemon I hadn't used before, I went for Magikarp and Zubat. These, of course, all eventually evolved, and I literally just had these 3 Pokemon on my team for a while. I'm not the kind of person who likes to catch loads of Pokemon. I like to build up my team slowly over the course of the run-through. I had Infernape, Gyarados, and Crobat. But there was another twist in this playthrough, and this is the only time I have ever done anything like this. And it was actually a lot of fun, I recommend it. And that was that there wasn't just one Zubat. There were 2. So the final team, as of finishing it about halfway through, around about Crash or Wake, was Infernape, Gyarados, and 2 Crobat. Such an odd team, a mega weakness to Electric. Sadly, however, it seems for whatever reason, I only ever transferred up one of the Crobats, maybe leaving the other behind because I had to leave a Pokemon on the console. I don't know why, I don't know if the Crobat is still around in one of my other games somewhere and I just haven't noticed. It's very sad to think it might be gone. But I look at that one Crobat on its own and think, well, it has a brother or sister, and it's just incomplete. Ah yes, my first Generation 5 adventure in Pokemon Black. Gen 5 was great because it introduced a whole giant roster of new Pokemon. There were so many good-looking ones and a couple of not-so-great-looking ones, so there was lots to try out. And as a result, I had a very different kind of adventure where I found myself capturing Pokemon all over the place. The only ones I wasn't too fond of was the starters, and actually Tepig was my only one that I really liked at the time. So I started with an Emboar, got a Stoutland, Seismitoad, Leavanny. I got a Crocodile and Electros, all Pokemon that I thought looked awesome. But not only that, I found myself substituting in Pokemon like Darmanitan and Caracosta later on down the line. As part of the story, Reshiram entered the team, and it's not a lot of times that I actually use the legendaries in the story, and even in the post-game, Hydreigon ended up taking a slot. And there was also an event Zoroark I was making use of. This is probably the most Pokemon I've ever used in one run-through. I do have a few other interesting Generation 5 experiences, but maybe talk about that later. And now Generation 6. I won't be going into Generation 7, by the way, because I haven't had that much of a chance to play through it with multiple run-throughs, and I already did a video about my first team entirely on its own. I'll link that as well as my vlog channel on the end slate. But Generation 6. I want to go for my first team with this, because Generation 6 was kind of when I was beginning to get back into Pokemon. I was beginning to watch PokeTubers here on YouTube, and I was watching Pokemon Origins. I was looking forward to the Mega Evolutions and trying out old Pokemon again. There was a cool Torchic event that came with the Mega Stone, so I had a Mega Blaziken on my team from time to time, otherwise it was just a Blaziken. I wanted to start with Greninja, the Pokemon that I thought was the coolest starter, and because I already had Fire and Water, I thought I might as well go for the Bulbasaur as my Grass-type Kanto starter, which of course acted as a Mega Venusaur from point to point. Also wanting to use some of those old Pokemon, I caught a Pidgey on the first route, which I evolved into a Pidgeot. Mega Pidgeot didn't exist at this point, but when I did eventually trade it over to Oras, it was level 99, and in the battle I leveled it up to level 100, was the battle that I first Mega evolved it in. So that was kind of cool. Also, wanting to use more Generation 1 Pokemon, I got a Pikachu, which I trained up a little bit, but eventually I swapped it out for a Snorlax. And the final slot was rotated between my 2 favourite dragon types of this generation, Goodra and Tyrantrum. Both of these are awesome. I think personally I prefer Tyrantrum as a result of this run through, but Goodra was great. And the great thing is that all of these Pokemon were ridiculously high level. This due to the EXP share and me being new to it and battling every trainer, just everything leveled up so quickly. quite a few of the team members became level 100 by the end of the story. The interesting thing though about that team was that the Greninja actually became a bit of an HM slave. It knew Strength, Rock Smash, Surf, and Waterfall, and actually I didn't end up using it a lot, I ended up using the other Pokemon more. And as a result of that, I felt that I'd really undervalued Greninja. So as I was hatching eggs trying to get a Protean one for competitive reasons, and I remember this, sitting on a bus, hatching these eggs, thinking, you know, I'm probably due a shiny soon? And within 2 minutes, a shiny Froakie popped up, which I then transferred to a different Generation 6 run-through so that I could have a shiny Greninja. Like I say, I've had lots of other adventures. This is just one adventure of each of the generations. Maybe I do another one of these where I go back through the generations again and tell you a different story. I really do like these ideas and these videos of giving my personal experiences with the Pokemon world. I also like doing personal videos in general. I've been working on my vlog channel quite a lot. In fact, I uploaded 2 videos there this week on being single and there being beauty in the world. So please, 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 please subscribe to my vlog channel if that's the kind of thing that interests you. The links will be on screen in just a second, and of course let me know about your favourite Pokemon teams in the comments. So hi Pokemon Masters. A special thank you to my patrons of the month, especially the big patrons of the month, Victor Cassido and John D. Gottlich. Thank you.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon